company profile is the ability for you to understand that the educational retirement group is one of the pieces of the puzzle that can help change how you can leverage your life insurance license to position yourself to do business. So if that's what you are here for, I'm going to give you every bit of it that I can. I've learned to leverage this system within the last year and a half. This is going to kind of give you the framework of thinking that you should have. Here's some of the activities that you're going to need to fulfill over the next 60 to 90 days so that you can kind of position yourself. I will also give you a little bit of a reverse, meaning that there is a schedule that you should write down now. It's not going to be on a slide, but when it comes to visiting the school system, depending on what state or city that you live in, matter of fact, could you guys do me a favor and just let me know for all that's here, what city or states are you guys actually calling out of or joining this call so I can kind of get a range and I can give you some time frame. So if you guys are on the call, let me know what city and state in the chat where you guys are all out of so I can kind of give you some context. All right, so California, we got Iowa, Gainesville, Georgia, McKinney, Texas, Pennsylvania and Philly, Missouri City and Texas, and South Fulton, Georgia, right? So we have a good range. So from West Coast to the East Coast and the Midwest, you guys are going to want to identify the calendars of your school system, but generally, the way that I've been phrasing it to some of the brand new training associates that have come on board with us is that basically on the east coast of town, you're going to find that schools basically start really gearing up their engines at the late period of August and really September. So if you live here near in New Jersey, so folks that are in Philly, for example, most likely your school system, just like mine's, open somewhere as right after Labor Day, so September. But there's this little warming period at the end of August that essentially says, hey, the schools are kind of getting in motion, but students are really in school right after Labor Day. And this year, schools are going to end in June. So you really want to understand how to leverage the next 9 months of being able to be in those spaces. If you're in California or somewhere within Tennessee, I was just talking to one of the Tennessee business partners, and essentially, school's going to be wrapping up in May. So that means that if you are somewhere within the Midwest, or somewhere in the West Coast, school normally probably starts as early as August, and anybody from the Midwest can, I mean, the West can correct me if differently, but August, and then it probably ends somewhere around May. So depending on that season, you need to kind of start ramping up with certain types of activity. As we ramp up the ERG system, though, for this season, the summer is also just as critical. So number one, during the fall slash ending of summer into the winter, schools are anywhere from August to May. And then in the East Coast, anywhere from September to basically June. But those summer months are just as important for you guys to be able to leverage. And I'm going to explain you today, or if you also remind me, I'm going to make sure that you guys get a very clear idea that you should be using the summer period to get connected to some of these staff members and individuals that are going to be important for you to actually manage. But before we do that teaching part, I want to make sure that you guys have a very clear picture. Please take a photo of this slide or take some notes on it. One of the things that are very powerful, especially because of how we operate here at our Infinite Company and the platform that we have, I'm going to help you marry the idea of why you should be going to schools as religiously as possible if you want to leverage this system, because a school is built as an ecosystem. All of you guys may have gone to school, whether it's all the way to college or anywhere from general, kindergarten to high school, which is very normal for everybody. But what you're going to find about public school systems, including private schools, so there are three types of schools that you should start to be aware of in your mind, right? Number one is that when we're talking about schools, we're generally talking about public schools, but there are other two segments of schools that we are able to do business with. Is that essentially you're going to be able to do school business with private schools because they use the same financial tools, or you're going to be able to do it with charter schools. So when you start looking up at schools altogether, it's not just the public school market, it's also private school markets and charter, but the public schools are where we probably get the meat and potato of our activity because this is a very common reality. Us as potential advisors going in to basically educate them about their pension and then kind of positioning them with financial solutions that are going to basically help them. But the reason why I was saying everybody this is an ecosystem that you want to get comfortable with is because this is you, the financial professional service agent, meaning that you are going to come here. Maybe you're brand new as a training associate. You've never been in the life insurance space or financial services. It's okay because if you stay and follow through with the program with your business director or those that have invited you to this call, you're going to end up becoming a financial professional. And that financial professional is the person who actually uses the school system to build relationships. So, number one, this is a relationship business because the more relationships you have in the school system, the easier it is for you guys to start leveraging opportunities. I won't use the word lead, but you're going to create opportunities, right? I'm going to show you how to do that also too. But you want to understand that a school is connected highly to local governments, meaning that in my town, mayors are very common to be talking to administrators, so it's not odd. Police officers are highly connected to school systems. Sometimes they actually serve within the school districts because they might be rather than a security guard, they might be the police department that services that. So it's not uncommon to have government or personnel connected to the school. It's not uncommon for faith-based organizations to be connected to school or a church be right across the street, especially private schools or Christian schools. It's probably church-based, but either or, even the public school, whether they have a religious belief or not, it's not going to be uncommon for certain religious holidays to be celebrated, whether it's different faiths. But basically, there's a tremendous amount of exposure, or maybe a parent could be a pastor, or they might be part of a church organization, or the members of that school that work there are connected to church organizations. So when you're looking at a school system and you understand building relationships, don't be surprised that you should have a high opportunity to connect with education and youth. If you guys are going to be in the California area in May, Miss Howard and her team, Miss Marlena Smith and her team, they're actually going to be hosting a financial services event there. But the way that they were able to leverage that opportunity, so this is live events that they're going to create for the community, but because they were connected to a school system and somebody that was connected to, a organization that was connected to the school, they were able to create the relationship to create this community event. So if you are in the California area, get ready to visit that event. They're going to be having a big, huge financial festival. That's a little quick advertising, as like if you guys are watching the radio. But long story short, because of that, they're going to be able to expose their educational information to youth and other people that are part of the community. There are a tremendous amount of special interest groups, which means that there are principal associations, assistant principal association, teacher organizations that are part of, like in the state of New Jersey, they call them NGEA. And so there are big associations that are tied, and these are other alternative events that once you begin to build relationships with people, you're going to find those opportunities and then so on. So if you understand the opportunity, the last one that I'll review that's very common is small business is going to be a big opportunity. The average staff member that I've talked to will often say, oh, my wife owns a business or my husband owns a business, meaning that they either are self-employed, plumbers, electricians, contractors, or they traditionally do own a small business, laundromat, XYZ scenario that they may have. But those are people that you're going to be able to serve because you were able to build a relationship directly with the school system. So if you understand that the school system is an ecosystem for your insurance services, you're going to leverage this system to get in there. Just like a Brian Swisher who started working within the school systems, he pivoted towards more small business activity, but he started his ERG career leveraging schools and building relationships. And somewhere along the line, maybe he felt that that was a better way for him to develop his business, which is completely fine. But he was able to start within the school system and create opportunity. In my case, the reason why I love ERG is because when I came here, guys, I came from previous agency experience where I focused solely on the idea of purchasing leads. And I just wasn't interested in doing that anymore. I did end up going into alternate forms of business. from real estate to other small businesses that I've been able to leverage. But if I was going to work back into the agency space, I wanted to be able to figure out how to create opportunity for the average new associate or myself to make sure that we have enough people to talk to, because we're in the people talking business. If we don't talk to people, we can't sell any financial services. I was just off the phone with Mr. George Ridley earlier. We just actually did an index universal life insurance policy for a staff member of a actual school district that works for a bus depot. So if you guys begin to understand the relationships, you'll begin to quickly identify how you're going to create a weekly activity of events in this space that are going to generate uh, opportunities. I'm going to stop using the word leads, but leads slash opportunities that convert into appointments, that convert into revenue. So George Ridley did an event at a small business, at a bus depot. That was the event. He created a bunch of leads and opportunities. He had an appointment with them today, and we were able to create revenue. So that's the whole idea. Most likely, if you came on board here, outside of the development that you're going to find here at our Infinite Company, you really came to build yourself some sort of income to take care of your family. So I want to give you, before we go into the meat and potatoes of today's information, I want to make sure that you get a framework of what you should be doing. So that means that if you are leveraging this particular system, you want to have some activity. So what I've learned to do and what I got taught here was that step two is, now that you realize that you can work within an ecosystem of schools, which means that your attack point are schools, those other places that you're going to end up building relationships, you want to target an activity of a minimum of 8 schools per week. And so what that means is that once you learn how to do these visits, I tell people I happen to use Wednesdays as my kind of like religious day of the week. I've seen some people do it on Mondays or Tuesdays. There's no particular day. I just happen to choose Wednesday because I kind of know Mondays could be a little crazy for everybody in America. Tuesdays things start to breathe down a little bit, but you got to do it within your availability. I use Wednesday because it's kind of like a hump day. But essentially, as you learn to visit these 8 schools, what you'll find out is that you might get a basic result of at least 2 or more confirmed lunchroom events. And I'm going to tell you what those events are. Those are the ways that we actually end up communicating with staff members, letting them know what we do. And we'll talk about that even more. But if the goal is to host at least 4 events, that's usually what I typically am putting in my mind. In a month, I have already successfully done this before, and many of my other business partners in California have done this also before too. So that this is not an uncommon. Many of the business partners in Texas have done this before. We've been doing it throughout the United States. This past week, Miss Coco Francis, actually one of the members of our team, she actually was in North Carolina and created one of these lunchroom events. So when you do this, if you host at least a minimum of 4 events, if the average output of an event is at least 10 opportunities, 10 to 20 opportunities, what you'll realize is that if you do that consistently, let's say you did a minimum of 4 events for the month and you created 10 leads out of each event, that means you're going to have somewhere between 40 opportunities to work with that month that you're going to be reaching out to, giving them a call, setting up the time like Mr. George Ridley just did, and you're going to position yourself to create revenue. But if you're doing at least 20 opportunities, which is not uncommon, there are events that we've hosted in the past that have produced more than 30 plus people that are interested in having a conversation. Does that guarantee you everybody's going to buy? Absolutely not. But I tell people what it will guarantee you is that A, you have an activity, B, you got a good shot, and you have the law of large numbers in your favor. So once you learn how to do that consistently, you'll start to find out that what you really want to do is kind of position yourself to earn some revenue. What I want you to do is say, hey, you once you've done that event, you want to get very good with follow-up. One of the follow-up kings that I've been introduced to is George Ridley. He follows up with these people and he'll get them on the phone and he'll just keep following up. I do it very well too, but he's very good at it. But right after the event that you guys host, we're going to give you how to do this. This is the framework that I want you guys to walk into today. Hey, you're going to reach out to these people and you want to create at least 5 to 10 appointments per week. So if you understood that the average potential application in a school is at least $200 worth of insurance premium or $200 worth of contributions from into a plan, right? Just did a rollover recently. Somebody had $23,000 in the old IRA, I mean, an old 401k, and they contributed $467 per month as their contribution. So this is not abnormal, but let's focus on the insurance plan. Let's say we did 4 insurance applications in a month at $200 a piece, and you created $10,000 in revenue to be able to do that. If you have a 50% contract, you are going to walk away with $5,000 in revenue that month. The company's going to give you 75% of that up front. 3750, the difference is going to come 9 to 12 months from now. So you have another form of income. And if you could do that consistently, you are going to position yourself very well. The reason why I believe schools are actual gold mines, in my particular opinion, is because I used to personally spend uh, per lead anywhere from $25 to about 35 to 50. And some of my team members used to spend as high as $100 per opportunity with no guarantees that they're going to say yes. But you guys can create these guarantees by at least creating the no costs for you by walking into a school. Create so that means on average, if I spent $35 per lead, which I've done before, I would have spent at least $1,400 per event. If I did 80 leads for a month, I would have spent $2,800 if the average cost was $35 per lead. But what I'm saying is that each school event for us here, now some people do a little bit more, but usually an average event can cost you $50 or less, which means that you're probably going to bring all your free materials. I'm going to show you how to order from NLG. You're going to get a couple, maybe some donuts, some snacks, and things like that. Maybe you'll bring some water and refreshments. You could essentially host an event for $25 or less. You could do, Miss Michelle's very good at that. She brings some water, she brings some bars, and that is all we need to do in our folders so that you can create what we call high quality opportunities for you to have a conversation. And the reason why we share the long-term gain of this is because many of you guys are on this call, not just simply to write business, but a lot of you guys are also here because you want to build an agency. So at least it gives you a shot to create a certain amount of activity, not only for yourself personally to generate business, but for you to help the team members that you bring on as either training associates that will become associates and that will become field directors and that will also become business directors. You're going to find that you can create a very successful system here as long as somebody's willing to do the work. So this is just an easy example that once you've been able to get into a system of at least writing 20 apps that at least produce $200 in opportunity, and you can create $48,000 per month in business activity between you and your organization, that's $576,000 in premium that you can produce. If the goal is to get to double that, right, you can do you and your organization can produce 40 applications, and the average revenue that that produces $96,000 in premium. If you times that by 12, you can kind of position yourself to earn $1.2 million in business that season. So I tell people that the reason why I've been developing the position of leveraging school system is because this is a repeatable process. And not only can you do it within the state that you live, but if you have business partners across the United States, like some of my peers do, or some of the founder members do, because we all live in different places, but we can get connected with these individuals via Zoom, which is what we do. We walk into a school once a week. You can create the kind of revenue to kind of position to you. So far, so good, right? Is that helpful so far before I continue? I see you, Miss Marlena. I love the glasses. Miss
Yes,
Hawkins,
sir.
makes sense so far. Mr. Jones makes sense so far. Miss Nandy. All right, Miss Shelley, good. All right, good. Now I'm gonna continue. Now, let me give you guys the meat and potatoes. Go ahead. Somebody had something there. I didn't mean to cut you off. All right, let me give you guys the meat and potatoes as to the dinner that you came for today so that you understand how to leverage it. So, during the rest of this academy, I'm going to make sure that you understand that if you visit 8 schools, you got 2 to 4 potential immediate yeses, and then you got 6 to 4 potential people that you're going to follow up with, which means that the business of yes doesn't come from everybody. It comes from a small group, but it doesn't mean that the other 6 to 4 people that you're going to position to have a conversation with are not interested in doing business. I want you to walk away with the framework that when you're walking in the schools, people are busy, they got something to go, but you have to become consistent. If you become consistent, you can create predictable results and you can kind of position yourself to understand how we're going to work through, right? So here's the framework for today's class. I'm going to show you guys how to gather your marketing materials so that you guys are positioned. And there's nobody who's licensed here that should not be worried about these marketing materials because they're not going to cost you a penny. I'm going to show you how to make sure you can literally order them today. I'm going to show you my back office so you understand that this is real. Number two, I'm going to show you how to leverage the staff directory. This is extremely important. So when we get to this section, I want you guys to be locked in, paying attention, because this is how you're going to find out who you're going to talk to, because in the public school system, everything is public information. Matter of fact, if you wanted to find out somebody's salary, you can find it as public information. Now, I'm not telling you to be digging too deep, but you're going to leverage good public information so that you understand the academic calendar of a season. And then I'm going to show you how to leverage creating gift bags to walk into schools and make friends, basically, right? No, everybody loves a gift, so you have to leverage that so that you can build relationships. And then I'm going to show you how to map out the school so that you understand how to do an attack plan. And then I'm going to show you how to approach the schools, what to say, what to expect, what are some of the experiences that I've had, both positive and unfortunately negative. But the negative part is what's going to teach you to have a little teeth so that if you have an understanding. So for example, let me give you experience. Mr. Taylor, one of our business partners in Tennessee, he started visiting schools. He didn't get immediate yeses. Matter of fact, I was down there with him when we didn't get the immediate yes. But if you learn how to follow up, are people. They'll give you an opportunity if they see that you're serious. So what that means is that you're going to learn how to approach schools. It doesn't guarantee an immediate yes, but if you learn how to follow up, he ended up following up and end up opening up that location that said no to him to begin with. And then he learned how to create a conversation, get to the right individuals, and they end up giving him a yes. And now he has a full carte blanche to work within that school district within parameters. But if you had to pay for leads, you know what? You could, but it's going to get very expensive. So I'm going to show you how to set up a sweet treat table event and what the purpose of those events are and where would I recommend that you start first. And then I'm going to say that you need to get in contact with these people immediately. Teachers and staff members of a school district are very busy. Now, write this down for me, please. When you go into schools, we're not just looking to talk to teachers. Teachers are great. They probably make the good amount of the money there, but they're just one segment of that population. In a school, there is parents, number one. There's plenty of $1 million babies there. If you guys don't know what the $1 million baby class is, you should attend it on Wednesday night. My partners in the West Coast, they do it all the time. But the $1 million baby is where essentially there are plenty of kids who need to go to college or save money for a business. Maybe not everybody's going to college. We can set up all those children with those policies. Number three, there are plenty of cafeteria workers, coaches, staff members that are secretaries that are not teachers. So everybody in a public school has to retire better. So when you're in these schools, please don't segment your business to them alone, but you'll learn how to approach them and have the conversation if all that makes sense. So one of the first things that you're going to need to do if you are not ERG certified, that means you need to make sure you get in contact with your business director, make sure that you've gone through the steps of making sure. So today's class is one of the steps that you're going to do to make sure you become certified, at least as per our Supreme Team organization. For everybody else, you might be doing a little bit differently. That's completely fine. But one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that you get certified. And one of the steps is obviously attending this class. The second step is to make sure that you are connected with the ERG opportunity by making sure that you go through the ERG coordinator that's connected to your business director to let them know that you're either opting into email or not. You don't have to, but as long as you do that, they know that you're going to be walking into schools, and obviously you got to be properly licensed and you're going to go through some of the training. So this is training part one. Training part two will be during the week on Wednesday, where Gabe hosts an annuity class. And he also hosts a certification class so that you understand how to leverage pension information so that you can understand that. If you're not sure how to get to those classes, please get in contact with your ERG, your business director, but we'll probably share some of that information as I kind of go through my calendar today, and I'll make sure that you guys are very clear. But the other part of the resources that you're going to need is some basic business cards, right? So you're going to need to make sure that when you get into schools, you get a chance to communicate with you. The ERG team will give you a template of what we use so that way you at least have a point of contact. Business cards are extremely important. Might sound weird, or if you at least are doing a QR code or you're bringing, some of your smart devices, you need to be able to make sure you can connect with people. Because sometimes when you're walking into the schools, they're going to ask you to introduce yourself, or you're going to have to introduce yourself. And they're going to be like, "Who are you?" "Hey, my name is Suni Samad. I'm actually one of the financial representatives for the Education Retirement Program. Here, let me give you my card so you know who you're talking to." I do that all the time with the intent to bring people's energy down so that they say I have nothing to hide. I basically do not have anything to hide, but this is a way that you'll be able to communicate with the principals and the assistant principals, some of the powers that be. And we already have this. If you have some other cards that you use, that's great. But we try to keep it uniform and clean so that you guys have a point of contact and you actually look extremely professional. And one of the things that we want to do here is make sure that we present. Did you have a question, Mr. George? I'm sorry, sir.
No, sir. I just wanted to add that on my cards, Mr. Hans, what I've done found is when you're putting out your business cards, if you guys can add your license on there, it adds an extra level of credibility. That's all I wanted to say, sir.
Oh, excellent point. Matter of fact, believe Mr. Ridley because he's been in enough schools to tell you the same. So that way, if you guys upgrade that version, that's an excellent point that you keep your license number on it. And at least this is a framework so that you have very clear, so that you can at least communicate with people. The second piece of information that you should not disregard. I know people be like, "Well, labels, what am I going to do with labels?" Let me tell you how much a label made me. Tell people when you're going to go into these schools, you're going to be communicating with multiple people. We're going to show you how to put your labels on some of the folders that you'll receive. We're going to show you how to put your labels on the actual gift bags that you're going to be handing out and who to hand them out so you can build relationships within the school. But these labels are very powerful because sometimes in real world, you might have given your business card and they might have left it somewhere, or they put it in their pants pocket and they forgot about it, or they put it in a bag and they don't have it. But because these labels are on these folders or on these gift bags, people have communicated. I remember somebody reaching out and saying, "Hey, I remember you left this gift bag for me. I actually had a question. I couldn't find the folder you left me." They might have left it in the classroom and we were able to do a deal. So I tell people these are also very keys. I'm going to show you how to use them. This is actually one of my personal favorite flyers. I've been telling a lot of the team members as you go into schools, it's a great lead flyer to put into your folder or actually pass out at an event, or actually a good way for you to actually easily introduce myself. That means if you had no gift bag, and that's why I told you I want to eliminate any excuses for you guys. If there's no gift bag, if there's no, you couldn't actually bring a penny to the table. If you had some flyers and some folders and a card, you'd be perfectly fine to at least get the ball started. But these all add value because when you're meeting people, they want to understand what you do. If you wanted to keep it simple as an elevator, hey, we can actually help you answer the following questions, right? This is what the flyer says. "Hey, my name is Hans Augustin. I actually work with the Education Retirement Program. Let me give you a flyer of information of what we do. What we actually do is make sure that people understand their payout options for their pension. We're going to make sure that they have enough funds for retirement. We actually show them how to use a 403B or 457, how those plans actually work. And we can also teach people how to maximize their saving strategies." So the reason why you want to leverage this as information, because it's a really quick synopsis of your phone number, your contact, and what you do. So that way, hey, the Education Retirement Group is an organization whose main purpose is to provide information for teachers, regardless of their current pension plan and their supplement options. Basically, as ERG representatives, we may help the ERG representative may have their own financial products, which education can seek more information on available financial solutions. Why is that important? Is because not every school district I've walked into is approved for me to do business. But we use that as an opportunity. Give me 1 second. Let me fix something, guys. So we use this as a way for you guys to leverage the pieces of the puzzle. Uh, a principal letter. I'm going to recommend that you guys not only use this when you're introducing yourself to principals, but this is an actual letter that we use not only in the form of putting it in the folder, but we've actually taken that same format of information, and it's one of the ways that you will start to introduce myself. Write this down because it's not on the slide. Um, when you guys are first visiting schools, remember I was saying, hey, I recommend that you begin to create a situation where you can start to visit 8 schools per week. One of the things that I've recommended when I show you guys the calendar and directory today is that after you've identified the key people that you want to talk to, you want to set out a letter of introduction so that you can say, hey, my name is Hans Augustin. Congratulations on a great new school year. This is, by the way, this is what I do for a living. Matter of fact, the letter says, hey, congratulations on a great start new year. Although the activities never slow down, I do hope that both you and the teachers and students are having a great success. I would like to take the time to introduce myself. My name is Hans August, this says Kimberly Howard. You're going to obviously change it. And I work with the Educational Retirement Program. But one of the ways that you're going to use this same letter is to go ahead and introduce yourself to those principals by sending them a quick email. And you can use the same exact framework. If you want to spice it up, you can leverage it through Chat GPT, me and my best friend. It should be your best friend too, because AI is obviously part of the conversation. You can modify this a little bit, but this has worked very successful for many, which means that if you are starting to, at least before you go visit the schools, send a warm letter of introduction, you're not only going to have this in your folder of information, but you're also going to have it as a way to use it to email and connect. I was just seeing some of these emails being expressed by Mr. Taylor, Miss Francis, who's actually in North Carolina. They've been using it, Miss Washington. They've been using the same version of it, but you will be able to at least introduce yourself so that you're very clear as to what you want to do. Now, this slide is extremely important. If you don't do this, you're kind of like out of the ball game altogether. So this is one of the things that I want to make sure that people learn how to access, which means that if you guys are part of ERG, you definitely need to be licensed as a life insurance agent, and you need to be contracted with National Life Group. If you are not contracted with National Life Group, then you can definitely sell somebody life insurance, but National Life Group is what gives us the power to for the majority of the schools that we're approved to have access to get in there because they are a vendor of many school districts that have been doing this for a significant long time. National Life Group is 178 years old because of its relationship with teachers and school districts. It gives us a tremendous amount of access so that when you are visiting any school district or when you are connecting with any professional that needs more information, here are some of the brochures of information that you should have access to. The reason why nobody should not never have these is because it doesn't cost you a penny, which means that one of the nice little brochures that they have, haven't lost a penny. You will not lose any penny if you take some time to order 100 branded folders by National Life. That's how you're going to use it to introduce yourself. And this 64454 number is what you're going to use to order it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that on the screen. You're going to get comfortable with obtaining the retirement analysis card. This is how we generate opportunities and leads so that when you're in the lunchrooms or when you're in those conversations with people, as you begin to walk the hallways to introduce yourself, when people say, hey, I'd like some information, great, let me have you fill out this retirement analysis card, and I'm going to set up a time to meet with you via Zoom so that we can understand how I can help. You're going to also share brochures like Save for a Better Tomorrow, understanding how your state pension plan works. Some are state specific, or some are very generic enough for you to get a point across that this is how you help. You'll teach people how to leverage a Roth 403B, which is a solution in a school. If you need to know more training about that, that's available on National Life. But these are some of the key products that we use. Flex Secure Growth is a way that we grow income or grow values of somebody's accumulation. Some of the business highlights, which means how strong National Life is, and an emphasis on some of those things. So, for example, if your product is 64454, I'm going to show you guys right now that if you go into your National Life back office, which is right here, for example, right? So I'm going to go into my National Life back office. If you have not been contracted yet, you should get in contact with your business director or the licensing department to make sure that you have access to this. When you go into your back office, you're going to find that you're going to go to forms and material. Once you've logged in, you're going to go to forms and material, right? Once you go into forms and material, I don't know if somebody's writing across the board, but I don't know if that's me, but I don't know. Is that me? All right. Somebody might be writing, so be careful. So long story short, is this me? All right. Long story short, if you see I've ordered the most recent 10 items, for example, when I was talking about the analysis card, this is extremely important and very valuable to you guys. This is how you're going to generate opportunity within the school district. This is that card says name, phone number, address, email address, and these people fill it out wholeheartedly. I don't really, there's not too many. Every once in a while, somebody might get a little gun shy, but then I say, well, hey, that's no problem. Give me your name, phone number, and email address. That's all I need to get started. Everything else is great. That gives you more information. They will literally tell you, hey, I want more information on 403B 457. I want to understand how to increase my retirement savings. I want to generate income that I cannot outlive. And these are all products and services that you guys could extend. As you do that, you'll notice that once you get inside that back office, if you can see that when you want to order something, you're just going to put that number there and it's going to be 64454. You're going to hit search and that materials, the folder is going to come in and you're going to hit minimum 50 and you can add it to your cart and you're going to order it. So that way you have an idea, but any brochure that you are looking for that is tied to schools will be in that back office so that you're very clear about how to introduce yourself. I'll give you one more example so that you guys are very clear.
Can
One more
I
ex
share one that's not on the list, Hans?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can, man. Which one you got?
So it's similar to the one the blue and white one, but if
Mm-hmm.
people do not want to print, there's a good one with NLG. It's 102
102
832.
832.
Uh-huh. And it
Okay.
should say educate and empower.
Oh, that's
So
my
that's a
favorite
good
one.
one too. Yeah. So we could just put our, ERG label on one of those, and it's essentially what we intend to do with sweet treats.
And Miss Marlene is not making anything up because I tell people this is one of my personal favorites. It's actually one of the top flyers that I've been using, and I actually put them on the table. And it's a good way for you guys to actually also read this too, so that you guys get an idea that when you're helping teachers or staff members, say, hey, this is what we do. We educate, we kind of explain people their pension, their social security numbers, and then you can kind of break down some of the other options so that you're very clear on how to position yourself, right? Does that make
Hey,
sense, everybody, so far? Go ahead, sir.
hey, Hans, can I say something about that form right there?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I went a step further because of the situation that I had, and I opened that up in my PDF software, and I went in and placed the ERG logo up at the top of the NLG, and I also edited some things down there to change their talking about their teachers to your, and I put my QR code and everything on there. So I'm happy to share that with anybody else who may have a challenge. So I just wanted to throw that in there, brother.
No, no, no. Thank you. So, guys, as you guys can see, the main thing that I want you guys to understand is that the material is there. Number one, once you get here, you're going to order everything once you updated it. and they're going to ship it to your house at no cost. So there's really no real reason for somebody to miss out on accessing this as an opportunity. And if you haven't taken a photo of this slide, please do that. There are multiple different options you can use in a school, but we've learned that these are the ones that have worked initially, and you can modify them along the way with some of the ones that you feel like is also going to get your point across. It also recommends, kind of like what Marlena just said, that, hey, you guys should be going into your NLG back office and get very familiar with it so that you understand how to leverage this system in favor of trying to create as much opportunity. So now that you got your material, guys, and you guys can actually walk into school systems pretty consistently. Let me just change something here. All right, so I can, all right. So now that you understand, um, you're going to also have to get your follow-up game heavy, which means that as you visit schools, you're going to find out that, yes, there are going to be some immediate yeses, and there's going to be some people that you need to touch base with. Number one, people are busy these days, not because they're being rude to you. They got things to do. So the reminder game is what's going to leverage your ability to follow up with people. And this is an email that we've used that says, "Hey, dear principal, my name is Hans Augustin. I'm one of the retirement benefit specialists with the Education Retirement Group. I had the pleasure of meeting you and welcome you and your staff on the campus on Wednesday, November 9th. You notice Wednesday is the theme. I hope you were happy with your gift bags. I'm going to show you guys how to use that along with the letter and flyers about our program." One of the reasons why this is important, guys, is because uh, as you guys go to the school district, that folder of information that we're talking about, that has the educate and empower, that has the overview of ERG, or has that principal letter, that's your credibility piece. That is your credibility piece. Yes, I am part of a legitimate organization. Yes, you can find me. Yes, you know my name and phone number, my card, and my contact information. I am not walking out here acting like a stranger. But as you go into school, some people are, "Hey, let's pull up the calendar now and lock it up. What date did you have in mind, Mr. Taylor?" Right? Matter of fact, after Mr. Taylor got into that school district, they was like, "What date did you have in mind?" They start asking you what date you want. What I'm just telling you though, but not everybody will do that. So you're going to get comfortable with following up. So we're going to actually send these links to you guys, or the ERG team will share these links. But you want to get an idea that once you've visited the school, the intent is that you want to reach back out and say, "Hey, by the way, we met on Wednesday." And that way I can confirm the date that you're asking me for, or I want to confirm the date that we've already locked in, because people need to be reminded, and it also lets them know who you are so that you can kind of position yourself in favor. So this is a great way for you guys to connect. So you're going to visit first. You're going to have your solid marketing material. You're going to make sure that you get a chance to communicate with the key members of that district. I'm going to explain to you who those are. And then you're going to make sure that once you get into those key members' atmosphere, you're going to pitch really quickly. They'll get locked in an event. We'll show you how to do that so you can kind of position them. One of the things that I want you guys to become very clear about is this calendar. Let me pull up a live calendar so you guys can understand something. But before I do that, you want to understand that all of these calendars have reasons. They're color coded. They're going to tell you when schools are open. They have specific activities when things are closed. When you guys go back into school seasons this summer, we're going to be you're not done yet, so there's still some opportunity. We were just on the phone with Miss Human this week, one of the business partners in Tennessee, and say, "Hey, let me show you how this could work." Meaning that I know there's testing during this April season or May season, but just before they wrap up, we normally host at the end of the year appreciation events. When I got here, I was talking to Lauren Coffey, and Lauren Coffey says, "Hey, there's 4 sets of events that you want to keep in mind. Number one, these are the very first set of events that you might commonly be able to take advantage of, which means that when schools just first open up or during the season of a school, there's something called professional development days. That's the days that these teachers have CEs, or staff development days, or teacher planning days, or they call them inset or school development days. Generally, these are days where there are no students on campus, but they have time to engage with you if you are there to introduce your services. So at the beginning of the season, you'll see some of those spots, and those are the days that you might want to, if you're brand new to this, kind of use as your soft target to be in school. Because it says, hey, I'm not worried about, overwhelming you while kids are there, but I'd love to host an event on your next professional development day. So at the very beginning of a school season, write this down because it's not on the slide. There's orientations and professional development days. So orientation days is when schools is just getting started. Professional development days are also when schools are just getting started. And that's the initial phases of being able to engage with staff members at a district. So during those orientation time, there's a lot of decision making. Brand new teachers are coming on board. They're setting up their benefits. And it can be very easy for them to do business with you because they like to get stuff done and organized. Teachers are organized. During the second part of the season, that's when you're going to do lunchroom events. Lunchroom events are where you're going to position yourself during the season of the year. So if you were here in New Jersey or in Philadelphia and it's August, and the last week of August might be your professional development days, or maybe the first week of September might be some of their orientation activity, so that before students get on board, they have all those stuff out of the way. But when school is fully active and engaged, you're going to be doing more lunchroom events. These lunchroom events are where you get a chance to build intimacy with teachers. You're in their space. You got some treats, you got some refreshments, you're filling out cards, you're sharing folders. And through that time frame, there's multiple teachers coming off during the time break that they have. The other meetings that you're going to be able to host in schools, write this down, please, because it's not on no slide, is staff meetings, meaning that when you get in schools, they're going to want to introduce you to the entire staff. That's big boy stuff. So make sure you're either prepared or you know what you're going to say, because you normally have somewhere between a 7-8 minute time frame, maybe 10-15 minutes at best to introduce yourself. So you got to have your spiel. But a staff meeting means that you're going to introduce yourself to well over 50, 60 to 100 people at one time, because that's a staff meeting. They either host them during the day, early morning, or they host them more in the afternoons after school. And the last set of events that me and Miss Human was talking about was that at the end of the season, you can do a lot of appreciation events, which is they're ready to wrap up, they're going to school. So in a calendar year, you're going to be able to leverage the calendar. So if you go to a calendar, and let me take a step back here, you're going to do two things. You're going to look up a school district. So one of the school districts that I work with and I show all the time in my area is a school district called East Orange. East Orange has a school district, and you're going to get to the school district website. When you get to the school district website, let me go to Google, because this one, Yahoo, be doing too much. 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. So you're going to look up East Orange, right? You're going to look up any school district that you're in. So this is a very important. So you'll do East Orange or wherever you're looking at, and you're going to put school district. You're going to go to the school district website. When you get to the school district website, you want to look for the calendar and you want to look for the schools that are in there. So you'll quickly take a peek into there. You're going to also find out that, hey, if you tried to go visit schools this week, there's nobody there, right? So they're not coming back until the 10th, which was just a couple of days ago, right? But you're going to look for the schools. And then once you go to the schools, you're going to find out all of the schools in that area. So that this district right here has multiple elementary schools, they have multiple secondary schools, and they got multiple secondary programs. But what's interesting about this list is you now know not only where to go, which is the individuals that are running the school. So if you are going to Althea Gibson Academy, you are going to be asking for Principal Alicia Washington. If you are going to the early childhood education space, or you're going to elementary at Benjamin Banneker, you're going to be looking for Dr. Monica Burton. So the three people that you should be talking to at a school that generally will give you permission, at least here in New Jersey, in some areas you might need to identify who it is, but generally it's the principal of the school. Sometimes in some areas there might be some other people that you got to talk to. But it's okay. When you get there, you'll find out. But at least when you show up at a school, you should know who you're asking for. And if you should also know the assistant principal, because when I walked into Benjamin Banneker, I said, "Was Principal Burton here?" No, she's not. She's not available at the moment. I said, "Well, what about Assistant Principal Smith?" Great, let me get her for you. Because sometimes they don't know exactly who you are. They say, "Hey, did you have an appointment?" Absolutely not. Did not have an appointment, but I did stop by to introduce myself. I work with the Education and Retirement Program, and what we do is we actually help teachers retire better. Was looking to set up an event. But at least here I know who I'm talking to, and I know all the locations so I can map out where I'm going to visit. If I studied East Orange alone, I could probably be busy the rest of my life. But I told people, I said, it's subject to. The other thing too is that, as I said, not only are you going to get comfortable with the schools, you're going to get comfortable with the calendar. The calendar is going to basically make sure that you understand who you're talking to, right? Let me see if I can look up the full calendar so you can see it a little bit better. So, for example, if this is the month of April, you kind of know that obviously the schools are pretty much closed. You know, they're on spring break or whatever the case is, but you know that they're going to be having some other events opening up or special meetings, you know, when they're board meeting. But one of the reasons why you guys want to get comfortable with your calendar is you need to know the chain of events that are happening in a season so that you can kind of position yourself. So you got to do the homework, which means that when you get into the website, you're going to look up the school, and then you need to find out who these three key members are. Who's the principal, who's the assistant principal, and who's the actual principal's secretary. And if I'm going to tell you who the most important person on this list, it could be the secretary. Because principals usually can give their secretaries full power and authority, or their assistant principals full power and authority to say yes to something because they've been working with it or they know the protocols in the school. Because principals are generally focused on students and teachers. Assistant principals are focused on the operations of the school with some other key factors that are tied to students. But you want to understand that these things are extremely important because this principal is the key holder. So you want to look up the staff directories because it's all public information, and you want to do your homework before you visit the campus. You do not want to show up at the campus door fumbling names or not knowing who to talk to because, like you said, people are already busy. They want to help you though, because remember, they work with students, they love people, they generally want to make sure, but they're busy. So if you know the staff members by name, it'll make an impression. And sometimes on some of these district websites, you'll see the photo. And I've leveraged that also to understand who I might want to ask for so that you can kind of position this in your favor and you can kind of know these key staff members and you can create an opportunity for yourself. One of the other things that you're going to get comfortable with is that when you go places, go bearing gifts. Do not come empty handed. Now, don't make this a reason not to go, but go ahead and get yourself to a Dollar Tree. Go ahead and get yourself to Amazon. We'll share some of the links if you need them. I've bought 100 bags for $30 basically, or you can go into the Dollar Tree and you can get a set of bags very inexpensively. But the reason why you guys are going to use these bags is because once you do the visit and you introduce yourself to the principal, hey, my name is Principal Burton. My name is Hans Augustin. I work with the Education and Retirement Group. The reason why they sent me here is because I wanted to make sure I introduced myself so we could set up an event to help some of the teachers understand their pension better and what solutions they could use to retire better. I was looking to set up on Wednesday, April 15th. Um, would that work for you and your staff? Right? They say, yes, Hans. Perfect. Or they say, no, Hans. I don't know if that works. You're going to need to send me a follow-up email. Perfect. There's no such thing as a problem when you're visiting schools. And then whether they say no or yes, you're gonna now. Sometimes I got my no little meter on if you're just being mean, but for the most part, whether they say yes or no. Well, by the way, thank you for taking your time, Secretary Brown. Thank you for taking your time, Principal Burton. I have a gift bag for you so that for taking the time to talk to me. In these gift bags, we got our little folder of information. We got our labels here on the side. And then we got all little tricks and nicks and things like that people can use. Clorox pads, yellow highlights, little candy. I keep mine very simple. Cookies in my bags. I got some pens. I got some colorful notebooks, and you're going to position yourself so that you can introduce yourself. You're going to need to have 24 of these bags. You're going to do 8 schools. You're going to have a minimum of 3 bags per school. You're like, well, hey, Hans, who are all these bags for? Trust me on this one. I've been in enough schools to tell you I'm not the best person, but I've learned from others that this works extremely well. What you're going to be aware of is that as you visit, you need to, if you talk to Principal Burton and she gave you the event, say, Principal Burton, thank you. By the way, is Assistant Principal Smith here too? No, she's not here. Well, do me a favor. I wanted to leave this for her and Secretary Brown. I know that they're one of the leaders of the school. Just wanted to make sure that I wanted to say thank you to them. Perfect. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave them a folder of information too. So per school, you should be walking around with 3 folders per school and 3 bags and sometimes 4 bags. Why? Sometimes it's all 3 members in the staff. And don't forget the security guard. The security guard, whether male or female, can lock you out for no reason. Not because they're mean, because they're the first gatekeeper to get into that space. So when you leave in or when you first introduce yourself and they say, hey, did you have an appointment? Do not make anything up. No, if you had an appointment, you have an appointment. If you do not, I did not. I just came here to set up an event. I actually work with the helping set up information about the pension. And I use that keyword. They'd be like, okay, let me get you the principal, or the principal is not available, or the principal is not taking any calls right now. If I end up only talking to the security guard, the reason why I get back in the second time, I'll be like, you know what? Hey, Miss Tina, thank you for taking the time to help me out. I wanted to leave you this gift bag. Can you do me a favor? Can you leave this folder of information for Principal Burton so that when I get back, I can follow? Oh, I got you. Perfect. So you guys use these as opportunities to leverage introduction. When you visit these schools, make sure that you are ready to be business casual, kind of like what I got, a golf shirt on, some a suit jacket, or you can wear your nice slacks and you can have a nice golf shirt. But make sure you dress either like a teacher, business casual. If you want to do it up a little bit, you can. You can look as lovely as you choose to. Be prepared to have some sort of photo ID or a badge ready. If you're not comfortable with giving away your driver's license information, which you shouldn't be, in most schools, they might ask you for it. So that way they can verify who accessed the building, because this is students that are on campus. So if somebody asks you for ID, this is not the time for you to have any feelings about it or to be rude. This is all perfect. Let me grab my ID. Matter of fact, I'll show you one of my favorite tricks. When I go in, I already got my ID out. I'm already telling them that what their job might need to be. I'll be like, do you want me to get your ID? Do you want me to fill out this form right here? So you're basically telling them that I'm not a threat. I'm here to get in contact with the secretary or the staff member or the principal or the assistant principal. So you want to have ID so that you can get in, and then be prepared when you bring the doorbell. Some schools do require you to kind of go through the first step, which means that they might be locked, especially high schools. High schools are very secure sometimes because there might be, different older set of kids. But when I ring that doorbell, is Principal Burton available? Did you have an appointment? Absolutely not. I just wanted to make sure that we had a chance to set up the events for the staff members this season so we can help them understand their pension better. Boop, door opens. I go in now. The security guard's there. Hey, did you have an appointment? No, no attitude. Did you want me to get your ID? I say, hey, let me get you my ID. I came to see Principal Burton. Matter of fact, I start sharing in a way that this is real. This is normal. I do this normally. I'm not doing anything weird. I'm not a weird person. I kind of understand your protocols well enough to get to the main desk. My goal is to get to the main desk. Sure, she's right over there at the office. Great. Principal Burton comes up. She says, hey, Hans, how are you doing? Did I have an appointment with you? Absolutely not, Ms. Burton. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. The reason why I came to visit the school, they did ask me to set up an event to make sure that the teachers understand their pension better. I actually work with National Life Group, one of the approved vendors of the district, so that we could assist teachers in understanding what solutions they can put in place. So the reason why that pitch in my head is very normal is because I say it so often that I can do it in multiple variations. And this is why I share it with you guys in advance, that you want to learn how to have this conversation. What does that mean? Let me close this out a little bit. You want to learn how to have this conversation. when you're approaching schools and you guys are just getting started, you may not have the exact language that I have at this moment, but you will eventually, the more you do it and the more often you begin to build your school muscle up. But one of the ways that you can start leveraging this language when you first get started, take a photo of this. Guys, if you have a moment, or write it down, says, "Hey, my name is Hans Augustin. I am with the Education Retirement Group, and we are contracted with multiple carriers approved in your district. We provide education on the pension to help teachers retire better. And in most schools, we actually schedule a sweet treat event or a lunch event, particularly on the non-student days. That's the very beginning of your career. You might be using this language, and we set up a table in the lounge. We actually feed the staff and answer their questions that they might have. What day this month can we get on your calendar?" That's my favorite statement, because you guys are going to leverage that. You become very clear. I've said this in 10 different ways from the time that I've had this conversation with you guys. "Hey, my name is Hans Augustin. I work with the Education Retirement Program. I'm actually one of the approved vendors with National Life Group. I'd love to set up a sweet treat event so we can educate your staff members on their pension and what solutions they have to retire better. I was looking on the calendar on one of your non-student days on April 6, 2026. What time would be great for you at that time? When do they normally have lunch? Is it 1 o'clock?" Because I know some of the answers, you start giving them answers that you've been doing this before. But when you first get started, I want you to master this part first so that your language will begin to change. Because the more you're in that environment, the easier your language will become. But you have to start here just to kind of practice, because this language right here positions you to at least be whether approved or unapproved to get a shot. Because if a principal gives you a yes, that means you're in there. Now, it could change because they might have to get other approvals, but that's a little bit of an upgraded class. But for the most part, if you have to get an approval, go get the approval. "Hey, well, then you know what? You need to talk to Miss Lauren at the board office." Great. Let me give her a call right now. Let me go stop by there now and have the conversation, so you know what you're dealing with and you're positioning yourself to establish the relationship. Because once you've been able to do that, here's what really happens, guys. The whole goal is for you to set up some sort of event. I told you at the very beginning of the year, there's going to be orientations. At the end of the year, you're going to have some sort of teacher appreciation. During the year, you're going to have some sort of sweet treat event to get into the schools. And then there might be other places that you get invited for. "Hey, Hans, you should come to our vendor fair. We do that every year around this time." That would be a great time for you to communicate with the staff members. Some school districts have convocations, which is their gatherings, so that you can get a chance to introduce yourself to those staff members and build relationships. So that when you are setting up these teacher lounge events, you're going to identify where they're going to host them, whether it's in a cafeteria or a classroom. So when I'm talking to the secretary, I'll be like, "Hey, is the teacher's lounge the best place to have it?" Because I have been to some teacher's lounge that are absolutely perfect, fully lidded, fully organized. But one time we went to an event and they sent us down in the basement. I was like, "Well, who else is going to come down here?" And I asked one of the teachers, "Is this the best places where you guys all gather?" They said, "No, it would be better if you use that first classroom near the entrance door. And that's where a lot of people come. And we end up meeting a lot of people." So when you're there, ask them, "Where's the best place to meet? Is the teacher lounge great?" You know, you're flexible, but try not to be in a place where you're going to be abandoned or forgotten about. But you're going to block your time for drive time and arrival setup, which means that as you start to organize these events, most schools, write this one down, have 35 minutes to about maybe a 45-minute window during the day where all teachers are taking. For here in the East Coast, people start taking breaks anywhere from 10:30 to about 1 o'clock. So depending on the schools, if there's 100 people in the school, not everybody's going at lunch at the same time. So this set will go from 10:30 to 11 o'clock. The other set from 11 to 11:30, 11:30 to 12, or it could be from 11 to 1 o'clock, depending on where the school is. But if an event starts at 11 o'clock, you should be in the school district by 10:30. So that way you can get up in the elevator, you can walk up a set of stairs, or you can get your materials ready, you get your table ready so you look professional when you get into that space. You're just going to use some simple stuff. Some people go all out. They might have a great meal set up. But if you don't have that affordability yet, set up some snacks. Granola bars is the cheat sheet. Or get yourself some Cheez-Its, or get yourself some muffins, or get yourself some chips and some water. The whole thing, or some pastries. Pastries is another cheat sheet. Hey, I love getting some donuts and getting some water and some refreshments, some coffee. Say, hey, by the way, here's some information. And here's some snacks that I bought just to kind of treat you guys today. So you guys can leverage any one of these things so that you can position yourself to build a conversation. Now, let me give you an example of one of the best sweet treats that I've seen so far outside of whatever I don't know. So if you've done one better than this, please don't be mad at me. I'm just sharing you what I got. So this was an example of Mr. George Ridley setting up an event, and he was actually with one of his business partners, Miss Loretta Murphy. They essentially arrived very early at that event. They got themselves set up because if you notice on their table, they got their folders, they got their pens ready, they got the contact point information, they got a whole full spread of details, and they got their foods and refreshment. If I'm not mistaken, that event produced at least 30 plus leads that they were able to facilitate, and that's your learning curve. Because when you set these up, you're ready to go. And because teachers do not have a lot of time. When they come into that lunchroom, they got to use the restroom. They got to warm up their food. They got to deal with the frustration. So you got to be prepared. You got to be greeted. If you notice, Mr. George has his hat on. He got his tie on. He's ready to go. Now they're curious. People love food. Teachers love food. I don't know what it is, but if you have something on your table, they coming. And then when you come, you got to learn how to greet them, which means that you should never be sitting too long at an event. You might take a little break if it's slow, but when you are in there, hey, how you doing? My name is Hans. How's it going? Pleasure to meet you. Yeah, by the way, I know you're probably going to use the restroom, but when you come back, I'd like to share some information. I got a folder of information and some treats I'd like to share with you. What that means as you go in, you're engaging. You're the room is shifted. If they're mad, they're upset, they're gonna be happy because you're gonna give them something. If they don't want to fill out a card, it's okay. Give them something to eat. Don't be greedy because I've had multiple teachers not like me in the very beginning, but later on when they see me the second time, like, Hans, weren't you here the last time? I had some questions. Can you help me? So the first event is just a warm-up event that you're going to be able to schedule appointments potentially, and you're going to be able to position yourself to have multiple cards filled out. What that means is that every time you go do these events, you're going to be able to create a situation where you are talking to a personnel that is potentially married, that potentially has children, and their husband might be a business owner, their husband might be a politician, their spouse might be working for a hospital, whatever it is. Everybody is a bridgeway to another opportunity. If you are building teams, take photos at these events. We take massive amount of photos at these events because we're letting you guys know that this is real. This is how we are finding opportunity. And the more consistent you become at doing this, the easier it is for you guys. Now, after you've done this beauty of event and there's folders and you got names and phone numbers, I want you guys to do one more thing before you leave. You're going to go back to this photo here and you're going to be like, you know, this little thank you card right here? You're going to get yourself a thank you card that's empty and you're going to put something heartfelt in it, or you're going to get a thank you card. You're going to put a little $5 gift card in it. You're going to put some Starbucks, some Dunkin' Donuts, and you're going to go downstairs and you're going to go speak to the secretary and you're going to ask for your next event. And you're going to say, hey, thank you, Mrs. Brown. She's going to say to you, how was the event? If you picked up one card, you should be like, it was great. If you picked up 38 cards, it was great. There's no such thing as not a great event, meaning that you don't need to be sad. Well, nobody showed up. You can say, hey, I didn't see a lot of people come through. Is there another place that you recommend? But thank you for setting it up, Ms. Brown. I was thinking about coming back on May 1st for the closing appreciation event. I want to make sure we can treat the teachers well before they leave. I was looking at the calendar. What's the date? She locks it in and you say, hey, thank you. Let me give you a card to say thank you. By the way, I got a little gift card in there for you. Just wanted to make sure I said, I appreciate you for helping me set up, and you lock in. If you don't have a gift card in it, give them a thank you card. Thank you cards go just as far as long. When people send me Christmas cards, they don't always have money in it. They got thank you in it. And I still say appreciate it. And this Easter, I sent photos to people. I didn't send money. I sent photos. Hey, thank you. I like you. Here's my photo of me and my family. We appreciate you. But people like to be thanked. So that way you can position yourself to be able to win. This is the founder of the program, Mr. Gabe Gonzalez. So this is not information that's not been tested. This is information that works. The founder's done it himself personally with the intent to say that, hey, we've been able to leverage this system for years to produce opportunities in what I consider either unapproved schools or approved schools. What I tell people is that once you build a relationship once, you want to organize yourself. Now, this is also very important, right? So you want to do one more thing. Now you had this excellent event. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Miss Nicole had her event. Miss Marilyn had her event this week, and they automatically reached out. Mr. Taylor had an event this week. They automatically reached out to their clients, and they started setting up time frames. What that means is that as soon as you're done with the event and you get home this evening, or you get home that afternoon, or you get home, but that evening you need to do some sort of reach out. You're going to email them, but you're going to also call them. You're going to call them and say, hey, my name is Hans Augustin. I actually work with the educational, I'm with the educator. Hi, thanks again for allowing us to host our event at the school. You're going to say, hey, Mr. Taylor, this is Hans. I was there at the event this evening. At the school, we hosted an event. I'm just calling to confirm a date. You're not asking for permission. You've already shaken their hands. You've given them food. You've given them something to drink. You're not asking permission when you're calling these folks. You're literally saying, hey, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm available tomorrow morning is 11 a.m. or tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Which one works best for you? Because this script says that we've already met the teacher. We're just confirming an appointment because that's what you told them. Hey, I'm going to call you and set up an appointment. I'm going to follow up with you to set up an appointment. So you're going to say, hey, this is Hans with the education. Hi, thanks again for allowing us to host the event at the school. I'm just calling to confirm a day and time to meet and discuss your retirement options. I'm available tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. or tomorrow evening. Which one works best for you? Awesome. I'm going to send you a calendar invite and email and confirmation. So that means that one of the things that you guys want to do, right? We teach this class once a month now. I'm going to just give you the best I can give you so that next month you kind of in position. But let me show you guys something before we go over some photos. I want to go back a notch. My computer's acting a little weird. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's hit escape here. All right, I'm going to come back to this, but I want to show you guys something. So when you guys get on your calendars, you want to turn your calendar as green as possible. What that means is that as you guys start your new week, you want to find out where your greens are at, right? So for example, when I set up a appointment with a teacher, you're going to reach out to that teacher, right? This is my second appointment with this teacher, and you're literally going to put teacher pension benefit. You're going to send them an email. Or for example, Eli just did an event recently at a high school. He set up an appointment. He had an event with multiple teachers, and he sets up an appointment, and just so that you can kind of review, and you're going to organize times with them so that you can turn your calendar green with opportunity. So that tomorrow Sunday, when I'm on the phone, I'm going to be following up to turn these white spikes green, or my team will help me turn it green, or I'll turn them green so that you have opportunity, so that you know that you're following up with people. Because if you guys begin to understand the importance of this, if you go back into my calendar and you say, hey, well, Hans, what did your February look like, right? Let's just randomly pick right? Hey, that Wednesday, I was at this school and we did an event with myself and Miss Boyd. So that way you guys understand that if you do this religiously, if you notice on my calendar, I've blocked this out. And that's the Wednesday that I'm out. The only time I'm not blocking right now is because during the month of April, these people were gone this week, but I'm starting to follow up and reach out with individuals so that we can set up times on the calendar to follow up with individuals to kind of position yourself to grow your business, basically. So the reason why we know this works, we're not asking for people to tell us that it doesn't work. I tell people that this is the last person you want to talk to about if it doesn't work. Now, there are challenges, there are situations, there are circumstances, but they're all overcomable. But this is not Hans Augustin that's just doing it. This is just me of many people who've gone through the people. Ask Mr. Ridley if it works. Ask Miss Kimberly Howard if it works. Ask Miss Boyd if it works. Ask Mr. Samad if it works. Ask all of these folks who've been going into the program to follow up. But there's a formula to how this really works. If you notice one thing, I'm just being 100% you, there's two people in this photo all the time. It's either me or Kim. And there's multiple people here, but you got to be consistent. The reason why you become consistent, and there's other team members that are doing this pretty consistently. We did this in Philadelphia. So whoever's from Philadelphia, it's possible. Whoever was in Connecticut, it's possible. Whoever's in New Jersey, it's possible. Whoever's in California, whoever's in North Carolina, it's possible. Ask Elena Taylor. So these are very consistent. The thing is that this is your place that you're going to drive your business so that you can organize opportunity. The reason why I love this system is because essentially what it does is position you to be able to develop opportunity all over the place. You are going to either A, develop insurance contracts, you're going to B, develop a lot of annuities, you're going to establish some Roths, you're going to establish 403Bs, you're going to end up protecting family members. For example, Mr. Ridley will tell you, we just finished a call today. After we finished the call, the lady was like, hey, could you show me this for my grandson? So keep in mind, I want you guys to understand the formula behind how this works. Mr. Ridley shows up at an event recently. He follows up with this individual. He gets them on an appointment, right? This wasn't the first time he followed up with. So this wasn't like she answered day one, but he followed up. He got her on the call today. He brought in a leader to give her, as much positive information as possible. She decided to move forward. I didn't force her hand. She understood what she wanted to do. We gave her the details of the pension. She ends up buying a IUL for herself. But in the process of the illustration, we were saying, hey, this is something we can do for your grandchild, because we did a needs analysis with her. And in the needs analysis, she mentioned a daughter, she mentioned a grandson. And I said, well, hey, is your grandson planning to go to college? Yes. Well, we could show you after the call. Matter of fact, I forgot. She reminded me. She said, hey, Hans, you told me you were going to show me something about my grandson. And I said, oh, yeah, that's right. Let me show you now. Great. She says, perfect. I show her the illustration. She says, you know what? I think my daughter would be interested in having this conversation. So the next time we meet after we do the policy review, we can make an appointment with my daughter so that she can understand if she would want one too, and one for the son. So that's two opportunities. One event created an opportunity for you to get into the school and create a name and phone number for your business. You make the appointment. After you make the appointment, you create referrals and opportunities. The only reason why I can talk this way, guys, is after a year and a half, I've developed my skills of being able to do this. I didn't know not how to do that before. Matter of fact, I might have been just as fearful, except for not as enough if I had enough guts to walk in there. But I would tell people, as you start to do this often, it'll be common. The more photos you get yourself into, not for the stardom, that means you've been practicing. This is a photo of people practicing the art of getting into schools and sharing coffee and talking. This is a principles and setting up tables and having conversations with people in hallways and lunchrooms and getting people to fill out cards. And we're not representing anything else but ERG, or the ability to leverage it so that you can create opportunity. Now, I can't tell you that you can't do business anywhere else, but you can. But here in this system, we are leveraging ERG so that you can create an ecosystem of opportunity. The more you can do that, the more consistent you'll become in being able to position yourself. So I'm going to open up the line for those that may have some questions before we wrap up today. I hopefully this information has been solid. Let me know. Let me see what we got in the chat here. Any questions we got from everybody? Let me see what I got missing. Hey, me too. Kimberly, can you show me? Blah, blah, blah. Great, Miss Kimberly. We could definitely show the badge after you take the LG certificate annuity training and have submitted the first. All right, I guess you guys were talking in between, right? Is that any questions we have so far that I might be missing? Any questions?
Yes,
Hey, Hans,
Bishop.
it's not a question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tammy. You go.
Thank you. Mr. Bishop, I do. Can you go back to your presentation for phase number 4? You were swiftly
Sure.
going through, and I was still writing for phase 3.
My apologies, sis.
No problem.
Let me go back here. It said phase 4.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Phase 4. Let me see here. All right. Yes. So this is some of the snacks that you guys could buy or use to actually leverage in the system. So I tell people you don't have to bring everything, but you bring enough to make sure that you guys are positioned so that you can get an opportunity to leverage this as these are your best friends. I tell people, I don't know what it is with teachers. They all love food. I think everybody does, but once they see a snack, they come to that table. And as soon as they come to that table, they're like, "Can I have one?" I said, "Well, has anybody talked to you about your pension?" No. Okay, well, good. I'll have no problem sharing those snacks, but I need you to fill out this card. Let me give you a folder of information and let me see what I could do to help you. They'd be like, perfect. Now, some people say no. You be let them go. You see them next month when you come back again. You got this, Miss Tammy?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And then my second
Hmm.
question is, can you give me like a visual, because I am a visual person and a hands-on.
Hmm.
So of course I'm new to the program. So can you give me a visual of like when you actually go to the schools in person and um depending on the scenario, I guess you can make up one. What would you do next?
Oh, clarify the question. So I understand. I guess so. I mean, like if this is the first time I'm visiting, or
Hmm.
and how would I go about it? Basically, you're saying, or
Hmm.
all right.
Hmm.
So here's how I do go about it pretty consistently. Um, I will make up a list of the 8 schools I'm going to visit that Sunday or that
Okay.
Wednesday, and I will make the 8 school routes, and I'll put the name of the school, I'll put the address, and I'll put the name and both the principal, assistant principal, and secretary if I can find it. At least minimum the principal, and I literally also put their phone number on that Excel spreadsheet. And then
Okay.
I'll map it out locally to see which one's the first ones to visit so that I don't waste too much time at all. And then literally, when I park,
Hmm.
I'm gonna find the main entrance of the building. I'm gonna have 3 bags in hand at minimum and 3 folders in hand at minimum. I'm gonna walk up to that doorbell, which is usually a doorbell there, and I'm gonna ring the doorbell. And either they let me in without any, major pitch, which is like
Hmm.
more than 60% of the time because there's a security guard on the other side. But let's say I rang the doorbell and they say, I'm sorry, I'll say, I'll ring the doorbell and I'll be like, hey, my name is Hans Augustin. I'm actually here to see Principal Burton. And they say, hey, did you have an appointment? And I'll be like, no. Reason why I did stop by though is I did want to set up an event to help the teachers with their pension information. And normally that gives me a doorbell ring in, like more than 80% of the time. If they let me in and there was no quest at the bell, the first person that you're going to see is a security guard. And you're going to
Hmm.
say, hey, by the way, I'm here to see Principal Burton. Sometimes it's an automatic straight to the main office. Some people will
Hmm.
ask me the same thing. Hey, did you have an appointment? No, sir, I did not have an appointment, but I did want to set up information for a pension event to kind of make sure that we can educate the teachers. And they'll be like, okay, well, here's the main office. When I do get to the main office, though, I am prepared. Don't waste too much time here. You'd be like, hey, is
Hmm.
Principal Burton available? No, she's a little bit busy. How can I help you? That could be the secretary. If she's the secretary, are you Miss Brown? And they'd be like, yeah. I said, Miss Brown, well, the reason why I stopped by was that my name is Hans Augustin. I work with National Life Group, and we do help the teachers understand their pension and some of the financial solutions. I actually would like to set up an event and host it in your lunchroom. I was looking at the calendar I'm looking at April 6th. Would that work for you? Sometimes the secretary will go into the principal's office and ask, or they'll be like, I think that can work actually. But do me a favor, Hans. I got to check with the principal. She's a little bit busy right now. Could you send me an email to confirm the same? Or, hey, give me a few minutes. I'm going to check with her now if that works. And I've seen that multiple times where they just go check. And as long as that makes sense to her, the principal or the principal gentleman, they'll go ahead and start setting up a date with you. Um, as another voice of reminder, once you set up the date, you say you let the secretary say, perfect. When I get back to my home office today, I'm
Hmm.
going to send you an email to confirm the same. Or if they said no, hey, no matter what, I said, that's fine. I'll follow up with you. I'll send you an email to confirm this date to see what date we can arrange. And then I'm going to rinse and repeat that process until I visit 8 schools. I will tell you though that sometimes you may not get all to 8 schools, because if you have 3 or 4 people who give you anywhere near close to a yes, you might,
Mm-hmm.
within that time frame. If you get 2 or 3 people to say yes, you may not make it all to 8 schools. You might get to 6 or 5 that day, and then you can kind of follow through. The only time I've ever made it to 8 schools is that there is something you want to be aware of. You could go to school one, teacher's not, principal's not here. School two, hey, they're busy
Mm-hmm.
right now. School three, they're, oh, I don't got that time, Hans. You gotta come back. And school four is where I find my first yes. So I would tell people, if you go through a process where you don't find your yeses in the beginning, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that it exists. It means it's somewhere within the eight, or it could be all zeros. I'm not saying, I've never really gone through an all zero period, but
Mm-hmm.
what I have found, let's say I did get to six and nobody said yes because they were busy, they're available. When I send the email, and I'll do
Mm-hmm.
one more thing that I'll, this is a little bit more juice to the when I go and send these emails that day, if I've
Mm-hmm.
met people, I will call and say, "Hey, Secretary Brown, I just sent you an email, by the way. I just wanted to confirm that you received it. Remember yesterday when I met you, I know you were a little bit busy, but I wanted to confirm if we could set up an event." And sometimes they be annoyed enough to be like, "Let me go get this guy an answer." Or B, they be like, "You know what, Hans, you're right. You did meet you yesterday. Let me see if I can get you an answer." A majority of them are female oriented, so they have a mother version of themselves that want to help you. And even the gentlemen that you'll run into, the principal, they all care about kids. So the only
Mm-hmm.
reason why they're not going to help you is because they're busy, or but you don't want to become like an antagonizer where you're just chasing them down. But you follow
Mm-hmm.
up 2 days later, 3 days later, or I will go back to the school and say, "Hey, by the way, Miss Johnson, I know you were busy the other day because now it's next Wednesday. So this
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, I didn't get everybody, but next Wednesday, I go back. Hey, Miss Johnson, I met you the other day. You were a little bit busy. I was just following up just to confirm what day we could actually set up the event." Oh, okay. Well, I've had all versions. Child, give me a minute. Let me set up the date. Or the principal would be like, "Give me a second. I'm talking to a parent. If you want to wait for me, we can look at the calendar." Or, "Hey, Hans, I don't have time today, but we will get that set up for you." There's one principal in one of my districts. I've set up all events. She's the only one that's giving me the hard time. But the other day I went to go set up an event because I walked in with the uh the staff member. She's like, "Hans, I owe you." I said, "Yep, you do." And I just said, "What date did you have in mind?" But because they see you so often,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to start building the relationship with them, if that makes sense. But then
Yes.
once you get home, you got to send them either a follow-up or just a quick reach out. And even if it's 2 days later, give them a call just to confirm that they got it. And hey, what date were you looking at? I'm looking at the calendar now. Wanted to at least confirm what date your staff member had in mind, basically. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Hey, Hans, just a comment, brother. It's been a while since I've been through this, and I picked up some things that I didn't already know, so I appreciate it. Appreciate it a bunch, brother.
No, no problem, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Anybody else? I'm going to show you guys one more thing before y'all wrap up today.
Oh,
Anybody
I put
else?
it in the. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I put it in the chat, but I booked us another second teacher appointment, and I need to give you a call real quick after this, if you don't mind.
That's no problem. See,
Thank you.
system works. I'm going to show you guys one more thing and then we're going to wrap it up. When you guys go to your calendar, uh, also, this is one of the things that you guys should be aware of. Let me escape out of this. All right. The last part for you guys today is for all of you guys who are getting certified or want to make sure you're very clear on Wednesdays. Let me see if I can remove this off my calendar so you guys can see. On Wednesdays, there is a ERG certification class. So now that most of you guys have done your ERG class, there's a second. The last two pieces is to connect with the ERG certificate. That's where they talk about the pensions, and this is a class that they host for annuities. You guys can go through them as many times as you want to, but at least if you do those 3 parts, you guys will kind of position yourself to kind of better understand some of the products and services. But don't make the mistake of not ordering your materials, and do not make the mistake of going not implementing. The most dangerous person in the world is a non-implementer because you're going to hurt your brain that you got all this information. The most successful people in the world is implementers. They literally say, hey, let me go and try this, whether it's a good mistake or mad. But when you make mistakes, you actually learn how to position yourself and you get better language. So not every school district is going to be happy go pie, but most people will be willing to help you to kind of figure out what your options are. If you can't go through the front door, there are back doors like working with the teachers association or working with the parent teacher association or finding your coordinators that work with parents so that you can host an event there. So when a school said no to me, I would say, hey, who is the parent coordinator here? Do you mind if I take some time to introduce him? They'll be like, oh, that's Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, by the way, I was trying to stop by to introduce myself to the staff member, but I'd love to possibly host an event. We actually help some of the kids actually prepare for college. Do you think a financial literacy event would work with some of the parents? They'd be like, oh, that's excellent, because they're also looking to do events. But the reason why this is powerful, guys, is this last thought process. You see this photo right here? This photo was a Read America. I could not get in that school, but I did the Read America. But me and this principal are best friends now because they show up at these events and you get a chance to talk with them and have conversations. Because when they first meet you, they're busy and they're doing things, but because you came to serve, and this is the only event that I volunteer every year for some reason. I enjoy it, but I've met a lot of people and done business with some of the different people that are there because they're coming from different careers and different situations. So even if you cannot do a actual event, you can do a volunteer event as a parent that will get you to meeting other people that are serving. And that's how you start to build. Because most of the time, these principals are at these events and you can have a conversation. Other than that, hopefully this was helpful. You guys have a happy Saturday. I don't know if anybody else has any question before we wrap up. All right, all
That
right.
was a great training. I greatly appreciate that. More information. Every time I come to your training, I've learned something different each time.
Oh no, by God's grace only. Pleasure to have you, Miss Johnson. Pleasure to have you. Miss Marlena, did I miss anybody's question in the chat there? Am I
Teresa
good?
has her hand up.
Go ahead, Miss Teresa. I mean, Miss Hawkins, go ahead, ma'am. You might be muted there.
Of course, I got my other phone. So I opted into, give me a second. I opted into the CRM. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. You're good.
So is the CRM outreach one?
You might have faded. You muted yourself there. I heard the CRM is that one, and I missed
I
everything
think
else
she's
after
talking
that.
about the ERG email coordinator, Hans,
Is that
and
what
how
you're
much.
talking about? Is that what you're saying, Miss? Put it in the chat. But I think I'm going to try to answer your question just to make sure that I believe, because I can't hear you, Miss Hawkins. But um, let me just make sure. I think I'll show you what you mean. Let me sure. So, for example, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I still use the coordination system. This is an option for everybody if they choose to do that. So for example, what you guys will notice is if you guys are also part of ERG, there is an option for you guys to have a coordinator. It's $100 a month. It's $50 bi-weekly, but that coordinator is the one that's actually sending out these emails. So this is not a requirement to walk into schools, but it is another tool that you can leverage so that you can also communicate. Matter of fact, that appointment with Miss Swain actually came from one of these emails. The only thing that I've done differently is that I recommend that whatever schools you're visiting, that's where you focus your email coordination at. So what I have done differently is that I do not have my email coordination into other districts. I'm having them coordinated towards the districts that I'm walking into all the time so that my name is circulating. So I've used it as a form of branding, and I've also created appointments out of here. But essentially, this is a separate activity, meaning that if you are part of ERG's traditional program, their traditional program was based on sending out these emails. Hey, my name is Hans Augustin. I'm associated with the Education Retirement Program. This was the missed one, the first email, but there's an original email that gets sent out. but every day my coordinator is sending out multiple of these emails, and I have generated appointments through them. It's just that when you walk into a school, you can create some immediate opportunities because the email appointments are based on people responding, and that could take a little bit of time, but I do get a lot of responses out of them. And some areas have better responses, like Miss Monica and Miss Gabriella. I don't know what kind of email sprinkle dust they got on their district, but they always got a lot of responses, which is great. So it is another tool that you guys could leverage. And let me just make sure I answered that question correctly. It says, I wanted to know what what is that about, and is there a portion of the outreach because you are mentioning us they're going to schools and set up events, but they're pointing on the CRM we are into. I noticed their emails already going out. Yes, so the answer to that question, if I'm asking correctly, Ms. Hawkins, is that this is one thing. This is them doing a direct connection. So for example, let me see if I can find an original one so that you guys could see. An original one looks like this, because these might be follow-ups. They've been doing a lot of follow-up. Let me see. So they might have been.
I
Let me
think
see if I
I
can get.
kind of understand the question also. So you're asking if we're doing the emails, what is the point of going into the schools also,
Is that what
or
she's
not really?
asking?
Well, I was just going to share, like, I am in California, Los Angeles, and I did sign up for the emails, but there are a lot of firewalls for like LAUSD and different districts around here. So they would send out my emails and they would just keep getting bounced back. So for some districts, it's harder to get those emails actually through where the teachers are seeing them. So that's when this academy was started to start going in there and, getting those teacher contacts and opportunities on our own. But if you can use them together, you can use them independently, but it's just another option to go into the schools and be able to connect to the teachers and the rest of the staff and their families and so on.
Yeah, she's 100% correct, Ms. Hawkins. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me to be sure. Yes, I just wanted to know to make sure. Okay, yes, I think Miss Marlena answered it correctly. So you could use it, you could use both. I believe walking into schools accelerated, but emails work well because like I said, Miss Gabrielle and Miss Monica got like sprinkle dust on their email account because they just be getting responses. So, but it just depends on like what Miss Marlena says, that it could be a school district that's very intense with their technology, but you can bypass it by getting in and building relationships directly. Anybody else? Any questions, actually? We good? All right. I'm gonna go take care of some stuff with my parents. You guys have an excellent Saturday. I hope this has been helpful. We'll see you guys next month. Hopefully, this is gonna give you guys a portion, but I believe this is one of the places that we can win at. But the system is built for you to win. There's no gatekeeping here. Thank you, Miss Marlena Smith, for assisting me and everybody else that joined the call. I hope this has been great information. You guys have an excellent Saturday. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Hans.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.